Buckle up, y'all, because we are about to crack the code on the final season of Stranger Things. The new trailer is a literal breadcrumb map to the apocalypse, and we are breaking down every episode title, every hidden frame, and every D&D reference. So how exactly does the Hawkins gang plan on defeating Vecna? The breadcrumb map. The Duffer Brothers are sneaky. They recently confirmed that the trailer contains shots from all 8 episodes of the final season, which means if you know how to read the visual language, you can basically reconstruct the entire plot before the show even drops. Most people saw cool explosions. We saw a chronological timeline of destruction. We know the season is split into 8 specific chapters: the Crawl, the Vanishing of Redacted, the Turnbow Trap, Sorcerer, Shock Jock, Escape from Camazotz, the Bridge, and the Right Side Up. The trailer gives us key visual anchors for each of these, and when you line them up, a terrifying picture emerges. The first 20 seconds of the trailer, those daylight shots of the military rolling into Hawkins and setting up perimeter fences, that is squarely Episode 1 territory. The military is hunting 11. The town is under martial law, and the quarantine we saw hinted at in the Season 4 finale is now a full-blown occupation. But the real kicker starts when we look at Episode 2. The Vanishing of Holly Wheeler. The second episode is titled The Vanishing of, followed by a blurred-out name. For months, fans thought it might be The Vanishing of 11, or even a callback to Will. But the trailer footage points to something much darker. It's almost certainly The Vanishing of Holly Wheeler. There is a gut-wrenching shot of Nancy Wheeler standing in her living room, tears streaming down her face, looking at her mother, Karen, who is lying on the floor in distress. We also see Mike and the gang rushing into the Wheeler house with panic in their eyes. The theory here is brutal, but logical. Vecna isn't just targeting random teens anymore. He is making it personal. He takes Holly, the youngest Wheeler, to bait the group into a trap. This parallels the first season perfectly. In Season 1, Will's disappearance was the catalyst that brought the party together. In Season 5, Holly's disappearance will likely be the catalyst that forces the parents, specifically Karen and Ted, to finally wake up and join the fight. The leaked set photos, showing a young girl interacting with a friendly human version of Henry Creel, support this. Vecna is pulling a Pennywise, appearing as a friend to lure a child into his web. This abduction sets the stage for the rest of the season's rescue mission. The Turnbow Trap. Episode 3, The Turnbow Trap, sounds like a Scooby-Doo title, but it refers to a specific location, the Turnbow Land Development Company, which we've seen on signs in previous seasons. The trailer shows the group, Steve, Dustin, Nancy, and Jonathan, gearing up in what looks like a construction site or a half-built development. The trap here is likely twofold. First, the military has set a trap for the creatures of the Upside Down, or perhaps for 11 herself. But more importantly, the gang is likely setting a trap for the Demogorgon or a Vecna proxy. There is a specific shot of the group looking at a blueprint or a map in a construction trailer, planning an ambush. This episode will likely be the action-heavy midpoint of the first volume, where the humans try to go on the offensive. But as we know with Hawkins, every time they try to set a trap, they usually end up stepping into a bigger one. This failed offensive is what probably leads to the separation of the group and the realization that they can't fight Vecna with Molotov cocktails and shotguns anymore. They need magic. The Sorcerer's Apprentice. This brings us to Episode 4, Sorcerer. This is arguably the most important episode title of the entire series because it fundamentally changes our understanding of Will Byers. For years, we assumed 11 was the mage or the sorcerer of the party because she has the telekinetic powers. But if you look at the Dungeons & Dragons lore the show relies on, 11 is actually more of a psionic or a warlock, someone whose power is granted or innate but battery drained. Will Byers is the true sorcerer. In D&D, a sorcerer's magic is innate, coming from their bloodline or a magical anomaly in their history. Will was infected by the Upside Down. He coughed up a slug. He was possessed by the Mind Flayer. So the theory is that Will has had dormant powers since Season 1, suppressed by his trauma. In this episode, we will likely see Will unlock abilities that mirror Vecna's. We see shots of Will sensing the hive mind with much more clarity, perhaps even manipulating it. If Vecna can spy on the kids through Will, it stands to reason that Will can spy on Vecna. He is the backdoor Trojan horse into the Mind Flayer's network. This episode will be Will's Luke Skywalker moment, realizing that he isn't just a victim, he is a weapon. The Shock Jock Mystery. Episode 5 is titled Shock Jock. On the surface, this seems to refer to the WSQK radio station van we've seen in set photos. Shock jock is a term for a radio DJ who says controversial things. We know the group uses the radio tower to broadcast a signal, maybe a code to the military, or a frequency to disrupt the hive mind, similar to how music disrupts Vecna's curse. However, there is a darker, double meaning here. Shock could refer to electroconvulsive therapy or a massive surge of energy. There is a theory that to fully unlock Will's memories or break Vecna's hold on a victim, the group might have to resort to a dangerous experiment involving electricity. Remember, electricity is the language of the Upside Down, lights flickering, surges, the magnetic fields. There is also a terrifying possibility for Steve Harrington fans here. If Steve is the one driving the shock jock van, he might be the one putting himself in the line of fire. The trailer shows Steve screaming in agony in what looks like an electrified environment or a psychic attack. If anyone is going to sacrifice themselves to keep the signal live, it's the guy who always plays the babysitter. This episode will likely end on a massive cliffhanger, setting up the descent into the final act. Escape from Camazotz. Now we get into the deep literary lore. Episode 6 is Escape from Camazotz. If you didn't pay attention in English class, Camazotz is a planet from the novel A Wrinkle in Time. In that book, Camazotz is a world where everyone gives up their free will to a giant evil brain called IT. On this planet, everyone bounces their balls in the same rhythm. Everyone is identical. Everyone is part of a hive mind. Sounds familiar? The Camazotz of Stranger Things is Vecna's mind lair. It's that red, rocky, floating island realm where he keeps the souls of his victims. Max isn't dead, and she isn't fully in the Upside Down. She is trapped in Camazotz, Vecna's psychic prison. This episode will likely feature the mind heist of the century. Eleven, and possibly Will have to project their consciousness into this realm to rescue Max and potentially Holly. The title Escape from Camazotz implies they get in, but getting out will be the problem. In the book, the characters have to use love to break the mind control. This sounds cheesy, but in the context of the show, it tracks. 11 defeated Vecna in Season 4 not with hate, but by accessing the memory of her mother's love. They will need to wake Max up by reminding her of her humanity, breaking her out of Vecna's synchronization. This episode is going to be a psychedelic, visual nightmare, and it's likely where we will see the most abstract horror of the series. The Right Side Up. Episode 7, The Bridge, is where the physics of the universe finally get explained. For 4 seasons, we've used Upside Down and Dimension X interchangeably, but the recent stage play, The First Shadow, confirmed they are different things. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched the play yet, but drop a comment if you know what I'm talking about. And finally, the finale, The Right Side Up. The title is optimistic, suggesting a restoration of order, but Stranger Things never gives us a clean win. To put the world right side up, the Upside Down must be destroyed. This brings us to the ultimate sacrifice play. If the Upside Down is linked to Will, if his mind is the server hosting this frozen instance of Hawkins, then destroying it might mean destroying him, or at the very least, severing a part of his soul. But there is a counter theory that is even more tragic. 11 is the one who opened the door. She is the generator. If the bridge needs to be burned, she might have to be the fuel. The trailer shows 11 using her powers with a ferocity we haven't seen before, her nose bleeding profusely, her veins popping. She isn't just fighting a monster, she is fighting the laws of physics. The right side up implies a return to normalcy, but normalcy comes at a cost. The ending will likely involve a massive temporal reset, or a sealing of the gates that leaves our characters permanently changed. We might see a bittersweet ending where the magic leaves the world forever. No more powers, no more monsters, but also no more 11 as we know her. She might become a normal girl, stripped of her abilities, finally getting to live the quiet life Hopper always wanted for her. Or, in a darker twist, she seals herself away in the other dimension to keep the door locked from the inside. The Sacrificial Lambs. Let's be real for a second. Not everyone is making it out of episode 8 alive, right? The show has grown too big, the stakes too high. If they defeat a multiverse-ending threat and everyone grabs a slice of pizza afterwards, it'll probably feel unearned. Steve Harrington is the #1 draft pick for the death pool. His arc is complete. He went from a jerk to a hero to a father figure. The only thing left is the ultimate sacrifice to protect his kids. Murray Bauman is another likely candidate. He is the chaotic good, the conspiracy theorist who knows too much. His death would be tragic but wouldn't break the core dynamic of the kids. And then there is 11. The Jesus figure imagery around her has been heavy since season 1. She sacrifices herself to save the world. It's written in her DNA. But Stranger Things is, at its heart, an 80s Amblin movie. And in those movies, the kids usually get to go home. The tragedy might not be her death, but the loss of what makes her special. She might have to burn out her powers to close the gate, becoming Jane permanently. A normal girl, a human. That is a kind of death, but one that allows for a life. What do you think? Is Will going to turn evil before he turns good? Is Steve doomed to die a hero's death? And seriously, what is up with that turnbow trap? Let me know in the comments, and keep your flashlights fresh. It's going to be a long night in Hawkins. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Popcorn Central, because we are going to be obsessively analyzing every frame until the premiere.